In this video, we're going to be talking about myofascial unwinding. Myofascial release treatment is believed to be a triad, and the triad is composed of structural release. So this is where you would, find a particular area that's tight or sticky and do a stretch across that specific area. Rebounding, which is that oscillating, gentle rocking motion, or even dancing or shaking that rhythmically can help to use the fluidity of the body as a therapeutic force. And then the third part, unwinding. Now, unwinding we've seen a little bit of in our myofascial stretching video when we were discussing the idea of finding those angles or positions that connect with the rest of the system. But what is unwinding really? Unwinding is essentially a self-corrective movement that your subconscious mind helps to move you for you. So it's just beyond that intellectual thinking about where I want to go and a little bit more of that early morning moving however feels comfortable and free. So why do we need to learn unwinding? We were, from a very young age, domesticated into sitting still, paying attention, only raising your hand when you're being asked a question, told, stop doing that, you're embarrassing me. Before you know it, you start to worry about keeping friends, not looking stupid in public, attracting a mate, and we learn to inhibit some of those natural self-corrective processes that we do. You might not want to make this big yawning open stretch at work because maybe your boss is looking, someone's going to think that you're slacking off or something like that, right? Over time, this creates an inability for us to do what our body wants us to do, to break out of the stickiness, the tightness that we feel from our day-to-day activities, whether it's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week sitting at a desk on a computer, or something more active if you have an exercise routine and you don't have a deep stretching or self-care routine linked to that. So what unwinding is going to do for us is allow us to connect with that intuitive self-corrective motion. And I'm going to show you a basic way to do that in sitting. You can just as easily do this activity in standing or lying down as well. The principles are the same. So step one is to find a comfortable position, sitting, standing, or lying down. From here, the first thing you want to do is simply open your focus to being aware of what's happening in your whole body. So as I'm sitting here, I'm paying attention to the weight of my bum on the table underneath me, the way my legs are hanging off the edge of that table, the way that my back and my rib cage are accepting the weight of gravity as it presses through my head into my spine. And I'm just paying attention to how that feels, right? So it can be the weight of your shoulders and whether your arms feel like you're straining or effortfully holding or bracing anywhere, or do they feel nice and soft and comfortable? Does it feel easy to sit up nice and tall, or does something in my rib cage or spine feel sticky or tight? As I breathe, does that breath come in really comfortably and naturally, or does it feel like I'm breathing against resistance or my rib cage is not expanding well? After I've scanned my system, preferably with a soft focus, it would be easier to do this with your eyes closed, although it's not necessary. The next thing I want to do is exaggerate the sensation I'm feeling in my body. So what that would look like here, as I mentioned, if my rib cage and spine are feeling a little sticky right now, which they do, I can purposely imagine the weight of gravity pressing through my head. Or alternatively, I could do the opposite. I could purposely visualize elongating through my spine, whatever it is that's going to help me connect with that region of my body that feels tight. And then, just like dancing, no one ever knows what to do with their arms. An easy thing to try is something, right? So start with just gently put your arms out to the side and reach outwards with your fingertips. Or if you were trying some of that scrunching like I was describing, you can purposely squeeze your shoulders up to your ears and just create some tension in your arms. And the idea is to just really exaggerate the sensation and then let yourself start to drop into whatever motion comes up. So while I'm here, for example, I give myself permission to take my brakes off, and I might feel a little bit of rotation through my head or my shoulders. And what I'm doing is just letting myself gently roll or glide into whatever position feels comfortable. Because I'm not actively thinking about what I'm doing, it has the potential to look a little bit weird or chaotic. But this is essentially the same thing that, dogs, cats, and other animals that our young children do to self-correct. If you ever wonder why a child's constantly bouncing or fidgeting at their desk or why they can't sit still, it's because they're counteracting the effort of, learning to walk, of falling on their bum, of, tripping and falling as they play. It's all that stuff, right? So as you're going through this, what you're feeling for is, where is the tension? Where is the softness? You're going into positions of ease without force. If you find something that feels achy and tight, the question is, does this feel like a therapeutic sore? Or does this feel like I'm actively trying to make something move in a certain way and it's an ouch, don't do that? And generally, as long as what you're doing feels safe, you will never put yourself in a position of danger. And this is the beauty of allowing your subconscious to do most of the work for you as you're stretching, is that it's going to take you into angles three-dimensionally you never would have thought of on your own, and also you likely wouldn't have gotten into with a standard structural myofascial stretch. Because most stretches prescriptively have a start point and an end point and an intention for the direction, this is basically the exact opposite of that. It's finding a starting point, a lever into the system, and then using that lever to pull into the rest of the body and notice how things are behaving. So as I'm doing this, I'm feeling little clicks and pops in my back, which is totally normal. You'll notice as you're watching that there are positions in space where perhaps you notice me pull or create tension. Basically, just like a dog or cat stretching in a sunbeam, it's called a pendiculation. It's that idea of creating tension or pull through a stretch, which can help to engage more parts of the body in that stretch. Now, you would do that activity for at least 5 minutes. I'd encourage longer if you have the time, and it's a fantastic activity to do early in the morning, for example, or potentially right at the end of your workday, because it creates a very clear delineation between work time and home time. One commonly asked question we get about unwinding is, what happens if the movement doesn't come? Now, the important part to recognize here is that the intention and purpose matters almost as much, if not more, than whether or not there actually is physical movement. The process of softening into your body, connecting with what you feel, and becoming aware of that motion, even in the lack of physical, obvious movement, is actually a fantastic skill to have, because it will still deepen your practice with structural release and any other activities that you do for self-care. For the purpose of unwinding, it's even possible that there may be movements and subtle changes, for example, in spinal tension or alignment, that are below the level of really obvious awareness or recognition, especially early on in your healing process. So don't be alarmed if while you're trying one of these activities, you don't really feel much happening. What I would encourage you to do is, if you are that person who really doesn't feel anything going on, try doing this technique laying down so that you can really allow the rest of your body to fully soften and just connect with that sensation through the spine, through the hands. And rather than trying to force something to happen, just let yourself connect and feel. Perhaps that's all that you really need to start.